Yo, what's up guys, it's me, That One Weeb here, back after almost a week or 2 weeks of not posting a What If, and today we have our long videos beginning. If you guys watched the stream, which was a pretty important announcement stream, go up here to the top upper right hand corner, there'll be a playlist of all my live streams if you want to go watch that stream. It's the newest one. Basically, it was an announcement stream where I announced that I'll be trying to finish and take up the initiative to finish every single one of my current ongoing What Ifs, which at this point in time is 22 ongoing series. Now, I'll be starting with the ones that are closer to the end that I didn't get to, and I'll be finishing up with some newer ones, I guess, or the ones with less parts. But yeah, they'll all be pretty long, and I'll be having 22 videos just like this coming out for the next 3-ish weeks. Hope you guys are ready for that. I'll be posting other videos and things like that too along the way. Thank you all so much, and I'm going to be trying to get these out as fast as I can. But yeah, let's just get into this, part 16 to the end of What If Naruto Was the Avatar. Welcome back everybody to the final part to my series What If Naruto Was the Avatar. Now I know it's been almost a year now since the last part, so that's a long time. If you haven't, please go back and watch the series if you want. I know it may not be as good as you could say some of my more recent series since it is the second series I ever made, but it'll help you understand things better now in the finale. Anyway, we'll get into a recap for those of you who do remember what happened in the last part, and then I'll be getting into the story and finally finishing up the tale of What If Naruto Was the Avatar. So, let's get right into it. Last time, Itachi had been hit by Sasuke's Kyurin attack. Sasuke in this version knows how to use shadow clones, and actually was able to use one shadow clone to hold Itachi down long enough for him to get a full-on frontal assault with the Kyurin. We have no idea what happened to Itachi or Sasuke. And meanwhile, while that battle's going on, Naruto is battling a genetic clone of Kimimaro mixed with Orochimaru's DNA and Kabuto, called Tsuchimaru. This monstrosity of genetics is now battling against Naruto using its bone ash and snake type jutsu, which Naruto is now on the defense against, using all of his bending styles in order to evade and attack. But let's just get back right into it right now. Naruto could see the giant lightning dragon arcing overhead as it crashed down to the Uchiha lair where his friends Sasuke and Itachi were battling. What? Naruto think? Naruto had never actually seen the Kyurin attack before, and so seeing it for the first time, he was shocked. It's amazing! As the explosion hits the entire ground and the entire ground begins to shake, this is when Tsuchimaru takes the attack initiative, as he then teleports inside one of his bone forests near Naruto, as he tries to stab Naruto in the head with another bone spike coming out of his palm. Naruto turned to the right as he then blocks with his forearm, taking a scratch, as he would then grab the bone and then pulled Tsuchimaru out of the bone forest. Tsuchimaru is shocked as Naruto would then use his bending style as he pushes upward, using air bending as he sends Tsuchimaru flying up into the sky. Tsuchimaru, now having some distance from Naruto, would try to use his rib attack as he then sends hundreds of bones flying down towards Naruto at fast speeds. These amount of tiny bone projectiles, Naruto would easily be able to move aside just using air bending, as he would then use a fire bending attack. Will of Fire! Suddenly, Naruto would create a geyser of flame bursting out of the ground. Almost like a molten volcano, flames would erupt from the ground, as Tsuchimaru would be completely enveloped in the fire. Naruto would narrow his eyes as he turns up the heat, charring Tsuchimaru. Damn it! Tsuchimaru tried to send more bones out to try and defend himself, but the fire was too hot, and he was in midair, he couldn't move. He didn't have any air techniques like Naruto did that could move him out of the way. Tsuchimaru would transform into a snake using Orochimaru's cells inside of him, as he would then try and rip himself through the air like a snake, and erupt out of his mouth to escape the flames. However, Naruto can bend the flames, and as he would do so he would rupture them, causing them to change shape as they would then chase after Tsuchimaru's escaping form. Covered in his own saliva along with any other liquids that would have been covering his newly formed body, Tsuchimaru would begin to bubble as he would scream as he could feel his insides burning. As Tsuchimaru would then evaporate, completely disappearing, burned to ash, as Naruto would have used all of his firebending skill at that certain time to completely dismantle and completely kill Tsuchimaru. Everyone on the Konoha side would think one down, as they only have 3 more members of Team Taka that they need to either restrain or kill. Naruto would think in his mind that he's sorry, but this is for the sake of the mission, and for the sake of Sasuke. Naruto would be thinking about everything he had heard from Sasuke over the years about Itachi. I can't let anyone intervene in their battle, Naruto would be thinking. This is when Naruto would decide he'll take on Kisame. Kiba, Hinata, Sai, do you 3 think you can take the other 3 out? He would say as he looks at them. Hinata would look towards Karin, as then Suigetsu would then meet Kiba's eyes, with Sai then seeing Jugo. As the 3 would nod, deciding that their battle would be ready to begin. Yeah, we got this covered, Kiba would say. Naruto, be careful with that Akatsuki member. Don't get overconfident, Hinata would tell Naruto. Naruto would nod, saying he'll make sure that he can take him down swiftly, as Naruto then began to approach Kisame. Naruto would clasp his hands as he uses Earth style, Avatar style. Naruto would slam his hands into the ground, as he would then raise them up to the sky. A large wall, at least 3 feet thick, of dirt and rock would then rise between him, Kisame, along with those of the other side being Karin, Jugo, Suigetsu, Kiba, Hinata, and Sai. That way, he would think, Kisame can't use any of his friends against him as a hostage. With this wall here, he'll have to climb it, giving me at least 3 or 4 seconds, which will give me time to attack him. Also, this splits up the battle, which would put my back in danger too. Now if the battle's fully separated, though still on the same field, Kisame would think this kid's pretty smart, as he began to approach him. If you want to die, come closer then, Kisame would say, as he begins to pull Samihara out of his back, as he tells this kid and asking what his name is. The name's Naruto Uzumaki, Avatar, and also Jinchuriki the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails, huh? Well, I guess we'll get another good thing from today. Itachi get what he wants, and we'll get what we want, Kisame would say. He would then lick the blade, as he tells Samihara to do her best, saying that they're going to take this kid down. Naruto would narrow his eyes, saying you can try, as the battle would then begin between Kisame and Naruto. Water style, Shark Bomb! Kisame would use, as a shark made purely out of water would then come crashing towards Naruto. Bad mistake, Naruto would say. Naruto would simply use his 2 fingers on his left hand, his thumb covering them, as he then pushed upwards, flicking up towards the sky. Kisame would be shocked, as his jutsu would then be lost control from him, ripped away from him almost instantly. As the shark would then turn around as it begins chasing after Kisame, as Naruto would then take his 2 hands and clasp them together, as it bites down, chomping down on Samehada, which Kisame luckily just grabbed out and used to block in time. The shark bomb would then explode with water gushing everywhere, as Kisame would be shocked, wondering what that was. Damn it! How did he do that? I didn't see him make any hand signs. Some sort of jutsu takeover? That was too fast, though. Hey, if you're too busy thinking, you'll get distracted, Naruto would say. What? Kisame would look up as we see Naruto coming down, now with 2 huge fists of earth surrounding his hands. Mighty Earth God. Gauntlets of Gaia! Naruto would land with his hands clasped together as 2 large rocks, now carved into the shape of hands, would slam down on Kisame. Kisame would try and block with Samehada, but the amount of weight from the rock along with Naruto enhancing it with chakra to make the blow stronger would cause Kisame's knees to buckle, as he'd fall to the ground, still holding up the rocks using his Samehada blade. But even the blade itself began to get shaky as Naruto pushes more power into it. Fine! Naruto pulled back his left hand as he creates one. Avatar style, Flame Rasengan. Suddenly a ball of pure flames would begin to burn in Naruto's stone hand, its palm beginning to melt and turn to magma from the heat. Damn it, Kisame would think. Naruto then slammed down with this Flame Rasengan, as Samehada would then laugh as it eats the chakra. He would then feed the chakra to Kisame as Kisame get powered up. Interesting, Naruto would think. Naruto deactivated his jutsu and attack as he lands back to the ground, skidding and using air style to push some distance between him and Kisame. Kisame would test his new strength as he feels chakra flowing through him. He'd lick his lips. Thanks for the snack. Now time to die. Kisame would decide to use his domain expansion, decided to use his ability as he creates the jutsu, creating a dark ocean. This ocean began to swirl as it begins to surround himself and Naruto. He can't control a jutsu that's wild like this, he'd be thinking. There's no way. As the ocean begins to cover both himself and Naruto, Kisame will transform into a shark as he begins charging throughout the water and starts going towards Naruto. Naruto would proceed to act helpless in the water as he begins to grab his neck, acting like he's drowning. when in reality he has a very small thin layer of air that he coated around his skin using airbending, basically acting like a shield from the water, and also allowing him to move freely within it just using airbending. As Kisame approaches ready to attack, the moment he would strike, Naruto would move out of the way incredibly fast. I fell for it, damn, Kisame would think. Naruto begins spinning his hands incredibly fast as he then forces downward. Suddenly the entire ocean begins to spin as Kisame loses control of the jutsu. Even this one? Kisame would be shocked, now fully realizing that Naruto has complete control over water. Damn it, I fell right for his trap. Kisame would have been sucked down to the vortex as he then slammed into the ground below. As he was now stuck in the ever-spinning vortex, Kisame had nothing he could really do. This is when Naruto would barrage him with attacks, and Naruto would finally use his final and ultimate attack. Similar to Sasuke's Kirin, Naruto had also created his own technique, his own jutsu, mixing bending and jutsu together. Naruto would create 4 different hands out of earth, using his earth-style bending. The hands would begin to spin as Naruto would pour chakra into the palms, creating 4 elemental-style Rasengans. Naruto would make them massive Rasengans, as he calls them the Avatar Rasengan Barrage, as each hand would have one of the elements: earth, fire, water, and wind. Naruto would give it his all as he clasped all the hands together, combining the elements, creating a sort of white light Rasengan. As Naruto would create this massive Rasengan of energy from all 4 elements, he would collapse it into the hole where Kisame was, as Kisame would be completely enveloped by all 4 of the elements. As Kisame would scream out in pain, as he could feel himself burning away. Kisame, at the last of his consciousness, would slip inside Samehada, which would begin to absorb some of the chakra, protecting him. But this much energy would prove to be too much for Samehada, as Samehada would be filled up with chakra incredibly fast, as it would then take most of the damage, destroying parts of the sword and almost pretty much just ruining it, as Samehada would be burned and broken in several places from the attack. As Naruto's multiple style of elemental Rasengans would have proved to be incredibly effective. This loud explosion could be heard across the entire field, including where Sasuke was. Speaking of which, back to where Sasuke was, we can see Sasuke's face in shock. As where Itachi was previously standing, we can see Itachi now covered in soot and ash, surrounding the entire area with destruction from where Kirin had landed. Sasuke's shadow clone had dissipated by this time, and Itachi had blocked the attack. We can see the shattered ribs of Sasuke's Susanoo, the orange chakra solidified, covering him and protecting him, as we see the unfinished, covered with partial muscle and cloth, as we see Itachi's Susanoo protecting him. This monstrosity of chakra. What is that? Is that the true power of the Mangekyo? Sasuke would be thinking. Amaterasu! Itachi would act like the Amaterasu, staring directly at Sasuke. Suddenly, Naruto would arrive just in time. After having defeated Kisame, as the Amaterasu just hits Sasuke as he begins to burn, Naruto would wave his hand, as the black flames would then jump off of Sasuke's body, barely touching him. As Sasuke would turn around, seeing Naruto manipulating the black flames. Naruto, this is my fight. Back off. What? Naruto would be confused as he asked Sasuke if he's really sure. Sasuke would nod, saying thanks for the save, but I won't trip up again. Naruto would deactivate the black flames of Amaterasu, shocking Itachi. The Amaterasu is supposed to be eternal flames. Damn it. Naruto would nod to Sasuke as he puts out his fist, as we would see an image in their mind of each other giving them a fist bump. Naruto would then use his airbug as he then flies down the hill back towards where Kisame is, as we can see Kisame wrapped up and knocked out after Naruto had defeated him. Meanwhile, Hinata, Kiba, and Sai are already having their fight with Jugo, Karin, and Suigetsu. And the fight's going pretty even right now, with Sai on the back foot against Jugo. Naturally, since Sai is more of a long-range fighter, and Jugo is more of a short-range. Suigetsu and Kiba are pretty much even, with Kiba using his Fang over Fang attack, and continuously spinning and attacking the water form that is Suigetsu. Karin and Hinata would be pretty much even in combat, with Hinata having a bit of an upper hand since she can use Gentle Fist and has already deactivated several of Karin's chakra points. Hey Kiba, can I lend a hand? Naruto would ask. Sure, Kiba would say. As Suigetsu transforms into water to dodge Kiba's next Fang over Fang attack, Naruto would simply wave his hand, as suddenly Suigetsu would lose control of his entire body. What? What's happening? Suigetsu gets swept into the air, as Naruto would pull out a glass bottle from his ninja supply bag. he would simply pour Suigetsu into the glass bottle and put a top on it, locking him up. That's cheating! Naruto would laugh, saying, well, it's your fault that you turned yourself into something I have pretty much complete control over. Suigetsu would curse himself for being so dumb, and as we can see, the executioner's blade falls to the ground where he had originally had it. Kiba would thank Naruto for the help. Kiba would decide to aid Sai in his battle against Jugo, since Kiba is way more adept at close combat, and him and Akamaru would actually put up a pretty good fight along with Sai. Naruto wouldn't feel the need to intervene since he wanted them to have some time fighting too. Not to mention he was also pretty exhausted after fighting and defeating Tsuchimaru and Kisame, who was an Akatsuki. And so Naruto would take the opportunity to rest, telling them to let them know when the fight was over, as he would simply lay down and create an earth shell over himself as he would then fall asleep, snoring. Did he really fall asleep? Karin would think. Watch your own fight, Hinata would think, as she would then throw another punch using the gentle fist style and deactivate another chakra point. Ah, damn it, Karin would think. Karin and Hinata's fight would go on for only a few minutes longer, before Hinata had successfully deactivated all of her chakra points and swept her out of the fight. With Suigetsu captured and now Karin down for the count, it was just Jugo. In his enraged state, he only knew he had one thing to do. He would grab Karin and then make a run for it, as he'd use the booster jets on his arms and legs using nature energy in order to get the hell out of there. With Jugo and Karin having escaped, Hinata, Sai, and Kiba would then decide to go after them. Naruto would pop out of the shell telling them that they don't need to go after them, saying that they already captured 2 of their members, and they successfully stopped the actual goal of the mission, which was not allowing Orochimaru's forces to connect with the Akatsuki. They'd agree as they'd hesitantly stop, with Sai also seeing the value in not wasting resources, as they would all say they're going to go help Sasuke against Itachi now. Naruto would tell him to hold up, saying that Sasuke was going to fight this by himself. Are you insane? Kiba would say. Naruto would nod, saying this is Sasuke's fight, and Sasuke is trying to win back what had happened to him and his family that Itachi had done to them all those years ago. Everyone aside from Sai would find this reason to be admirable and would agree that it was good enough for them to wait. And if Sasuke does need help, then they can just go up and help him curb stomp Itachi altogether. So everyone besides Sai would be happy with this, but Sai would insist on going to intervene in the fight, saying why waste their time when they can just jump him right now and take care of him. Naruto would look up to him as he says, your funeral, saying Sasuke will probably get pissed off at you if you do that. Good luck. Naruto would lay back down as he rests looking at the sky, and would recover his chakra, thinking about the battle that had happened today. Meanwhile, only a few hundred feet away, we see Itachi breaking down, as his disease and illness is finally catching up to him. As Sasuke approaches the Chidori about to stab him, Itachi would run forward, as Sasuke would think he's trying to grab for his eyes. Suddenly, Itachi would embrace Sasuke with a hug, as Sasuke's Chidori would pierce straight through Itachi's heart. What? Sasuke would be shocked. Itachi would deactivate the Susanoo immediately as the Chidori is about to pierce through him. And now, as he laid on Sasuke's hand, which his arm was already through Itachi's back and his entire body, he would tell Sasuke a few things. Little brother, once you attain those eyes, the strain on your body, the strain on them will cause you to go blind. When that time comes, you have to take my eyes. As he says this, Itachi would then flick his finger onto Sasuke's forehead for one last time, as his hand covered in blood would then fall down Sasuke's face, tracing as Itachi would pass out and eventually die. Why do I? Sasuke would feel tears welling up in his eyes, as Sai had just come over the border to see Sasuke having successfully taken out the target. Alright then, target secured. Let's get out of here, Sasuke. Bring the body with. Lord Danzo wanted us to. As he says this, Sasuke would turn around, his eyes having changed the Mangekyo Sharingan. He didn't know why, but those last words from Itachi were filled with so much care, so much worry. Was I wrong about Itachi? Sasuke would think, the last echo of his brother in his mind. Sasuke had changed. He wasn't just a raging, mindless beast. After his battle with Naruto in the Valley of the End and having trained him for so many years, Sasuke had mellowed out as a person, and he considered things more heavily now. The impact of Itachi's words really hit Sasuke, and this is why he unlocked his Mangekyo. Sasuke would take Itachi's eyes, as he would seal them into a scroll, saying, if that time ever does come, I will. Sasuke would then use the Amaterasu, burning away Itachi's body. Sasuke, what are you doing? Sai would ask in an empty tone. Sasuke would turn around as he had wiped the tears away, saying he didn't want his brother's body to be desecrated by anyone besides himself. As Sasuke would walk away, as the final piece of the Akatsuki's robe would burn to ash. Naruto would be lying on the hill as he looks up, sensing Sasuke's chakra. "Welcome back. How'd it go?" Sasuke would say nothing, saying that he got the job done, telling Naruto let's get back to the village. As Naruto would snap his fingers as he waves his hand. Suddenly, airbikes would appear as they would all hop on top of them, as the entire force, along with now Kisame on Naruto's back, wrapped up, and Suigetsu, having been captured, would begin to head back towards the Leaf Village. Obito, or Madara, would know that Kisame had been captured, and so he would have sent Hidan and Kakuzu to the Leaf Village in advance to try and pursue the team which had captured both Kisame and Suigetsu from the Team Taka from Orochimaru's forces. It was now about time for Obito's plan to begin, as he begins to move some of his pieces into play, that specifically being Kakuzu Hidan, as well as Nagato and Konan. Naruto, along with the rest of the team that had been sent to disrupt the Akatsuki and Orochimaru's forces, were now on their way back to the village with 2 hostages in tow. Obito, or Madara, was not particularly keen to have his subordinate Kisame be taken in by the Leaf Village at this time. "My plans would not suit for this as of now," Obito would think, as he decides that there must be some way he must retrieve them. He would send Hidan and Kakuzu, 2 of his immortal team, in order to find and reclaim Kisame, or at the very least make sure that he's not breathing or capable of giving any information to the Leaf, destroy any trace of him, or reclaim him alive. Needless to say, Hidan and Kakuzu were leaning towards either option, whichever suited them the best, with the both of them both being rather sadistic in nature. As Hidan and Kakuzu would be approaching the village at rapid speeds, moving at fast pace across the forest tree line, they'd eventually cross paths into the team returning from their mission. Team 10 would then move out, as they decided they needed to block the attack from the Akatsuki, as Hidan and Kakuzu would then run first into battle against Asuma, Shikamaru, Inu, and Choji, as the battle between Team 10 and the 2 Akatsuki members of Immortality would begin. One big difference is that this time the Leaf Village would actually have a slight advantage over the Akatsuki, that being that they knew they were coming, since the Akatsuki would not want any information about their plans to be leaked. Now that they actually have a key member of the Akatsuki captured and not able to escape through Naruto's team in their battle, there's some way that they might be able to unravel their plan and be able to preemptively stop them in time, which means that Naruto and the group has to get back to the Leaf Village as fast as possible. If Naruto can deliver Kisame to the Intel Core fast enough, it might be possible in order to actually read through his memories to find what the Akatsuki are after exactly and what they're doing with the tailed beasts. Naruto would be hesitant about not going to help Team 10 with battling against the 2 Akatsuki members, but he understood the importance of the mission. As Naruto was moving closer and closer to the village, he would also begin to feel a growing fear in the pit of his stomach, as Naruto would turn around, quickly dumping Kisame on now Sai and telling him to bring him back to the Intel Core. Naruto would run off, telling everyone to continue with the mission as he deactivates the air bikes. Naruto would leap into the air using cloud bending style, combining water and air bending as he forms a cloud underneath him and would move extremely fast, now floating as he goes flying towards where the Akatsuki members are battling. Shikamaru, Inu, and Choji would all be struggling against Kakuzu, while Asuma Sensei would be battling Hidan alone. Hidan's scythe would be clashing against his chakra blades, his knives and the metal against each other now scratching, making a shrill sound echo throughout the air. Naruto could sense this as he then heads down towards the forest floor below. Suddenly, Hidan would catch Asuna off guard, with Asuma having landed a blow and Hidan having simply taken it, walking through the strike, as he's about to slash Asuma's head off with his scythe. Naruto would scream out, "No!" as suddenly he would raise his hand, pulling up as fast as he can. Just as the spike's about to pierce into Asuma's neck, a boulder would come flying up from the ground, ripping through as a spike of earth would then shatter against the blade, causing it to slow down and lose its momentum. This would give Asuma plenty of time to then retrieve his blade from Hidan's body. "Thanks, Naruto." "Yeah, no problem." Naruto would land to the ground, using airbending to cushion the fall. "Naruto!" Shikamaru would turn around.
Focus on your fight, Naruto would say, as Kakuzu would blast more elemental chakra types against the 3 members of Team 10. Shikamaru would leap into action using his Shadow Possession Jutsu, as he would capture Hidan in his own shadow, causing him to be unable to move. This would be when Ino would use her Mind Transfer Jutsu, and the Inu Shikocho technique would be used, causing some damage, but minorly. Meanwhile, Asuma and Naruto would be battling against Hidan. Hidan with his immortality against Naruto with his Avatar and Nature Energy Jutsu, along with Asuma using his Smoke Jutsu, as well as just infusing his chakra into his chakra blades, which allows him to get some cuts on Hidan, but they fade quickly. Naruto would be using every bending technique he knew in the book, hitting Hidan from all sides, but nothing was working. Why won't he die? Naruto would be thinking. Shikamaru would come up with a plan. After their attack against, now, Kakuzu had failed, he would decide and look at Naruto. Switch! Team 10 would then all focus on Hidan while Naruto would take Kakuzu. The two would be a much better match, as Kakuzu using elemental abilities would prove to stand no chance against Naruto, who could simply bend any attacks made out of elemental energy and chakra away from him. And so the battle would then be tilted towards the Leaf Shinobi's favor, as Kakuzu couldn't really use any of his Mask's abilities or even his tendrils against Naruto, since they'd be made out of Earth-style nature. Meaning Naruto could just simply throw them away or even just destroy them up out of his own free will. Kakuzu himself really just didn't seem to stand a chance against Naruto, and he would just get belted over and over again. Naruto destroyed 1, 2, 3 of his hearts. With only 2 left, Kakuzu decided it was time to run, as he tried to escape. Naruto would simply use his Avatar abilities to pull Kakuzu back using his own body, which would be filled with the earth tendrils of the earth-style nature energy of chakra. Naruto would simply bend this back towards him, and then throw a punch and then imbue his fist with chakra, sending Kakuzu flying into the ground, as Naruto would grab another heart from inside his chest. What is this? Naruto would be thinking. Naruto would gently squeeze his hand as he would then burst the heart into a million little pieces. Kakuzu would cry out, with only 1 heart remaining, as Hidan would turn for a split instant. Shikamaru would use his Shadow Possession Jutsu and then cease Hidan's movements, as Asuma, Ino, and Choji would then use all of their attacks against him, cutting up into several bits, as Hidan's head would be ripped apart from his body, still not dead. Kakuzu would have been destroyed much like the original, however, it would have been much more brutal this time, considering Naruto would have just been brutally beating him with jutsu, and randomly finding his hearts and destroying them for almost 30 minutes now, while Hidan was just getting volleyballed around by Team 10. Positive from this fight is that Naruto has actually saved Asuma's fate of dying from Hidan, meaning that we don't have that sad moment with Shikamaru and Asuma, so that's cool. Asuma lives, yay! Anyway, after Obito's forces had failed to retrieve Kisame, and he'd actually lost more than he ever had been able to gain, Obito would decide that it was time to just completely wipe out and cut his losses. And so he would send the 6th Pass of Pain, Nagato, as he would contact Pain and Konan to go and eradicate the Leaf Village and capture the 9 Tails. Oh, yeah, speaking about Nagato and Konan, actually in the Rain Village right now we can see that they have complete and total control over the entire village, and this would be when Jiraiya would have actually been inside of the village. And Jiraiya would have been gathering intel for the Leaf as well as trying to find the whereabouts of the Akatsuki. Jiraiya would have been found out just like he did in the original and would unfortunately die. Naruto, who would have just been getting everything sorted out and was just about to sit back down in the Leaf Village, would suddenly feel a burst of fresh air as he turns around, the wind soaring past his face with a leaf on it, cut it into a few pieces. Jiraiya? Naruto be thinking? Naruto would slap his face, wondering what that was all about, saying, "There's no way." As Naruto would get back to work and just finish off submitting the report for the now 2 Akatsuki members they had captured, that being Hidan and Kisame, Pain and Nagato would be on the way. As suddenly, after around a week or so after the Hidan incident along with Kakuzu, this would be when the old Grandpa Toad would show up, with writing carved into his back, the last message from Jiraiya. This writing would be their saving grace, as they'd eventually begin working on deciphering it in order to find the code Jiraiya had left in the meaning behind his words. Naruto would have recognized the page number from his Make-Out Tactics book, as he would then point it out just like he would have in the original. This would have immensely helped with trying to decipher it just like it originally had. And another big difference in this timeline is that Naruto already has Sage Mode. Naruto's power-up is a bit higher just because Naruto had learned Sage Mode over the 3-year gap, along with all of his bending styles and avatar style. And so Naruto doesn't really need to go anywhere in order to train to master Sage Mode. So Naruto would just stay in the village and guard it, and just generally wait for any threat to come to attack them, while their reconnaissance team would be working on Kisame and Hidan, trying to extract information about the Akatsuki's plans. As everyone in the Leaf Village would be relaxing with them having seemingly won the day, and for the past week and so now, everyone had been happy and peaceful. Suddenly, several signals of interference would then be sent to the barrier ninja in the Leaf Village, as they would notify the Lady Hokage, Tsunade herself. Tsunade would be shocked as she hears about the 6 entry points, but they were so high up. What? That's impossible. How do they enter the village so fast? Tsunade would be thinking. Tsunade wouldn't have time to act, but Naruto would have already sensed the disturbance, as Naruto could feel the passive energy having been moved. Naruto would then jump out of as he gets ready to fight, getting and zipping up his jacket as he then hops out of his house, opening and slamming the door as he runs out. Looking above, we can then see it, as Pain is about to attack the village. Almighty push, Shinra Tensei. Suddenly, the wave of pure physical energy will begin to combat itself towards the village, as an invisible wall will begin to try and push to completely destroy it. We seek Naruto Uzumaki. Give us the 9 tails and our comrades and we'll leave. Or die. As the almighty push is just about to make its way to the ground and create its massive crater, just like it would have in the original, we suddenly see it begin to get pushed back. What? Pain would be shocked, Nagato would be shocked, Konan would be shocked. A Rinnegan ability malfunctioning like this? What's going on? The energy itself, the pure physical chakra, would begin to move, as Naruto would access his avatar state. The threat that he had felt would allow him to access the previous spirits of the avatars, as Aang, Korra, Roku, and all the previous before him would enter his body. Naruto in the avatar state would fly up into the air, as he's now nose to nose, eye to eye with the Tendo Path of Pain. Naruto would have cancelled out the almighty push, as everyone would now have time to react, as shinobi are getting ready to evacuate the village, and other shinobi are getting ready to fight. Since the other 5 of the 6 Paths of Pain would also be fighting, Naruto would be fighting the Tendo Pain in the air. This fight would look almost similar to how a Dragon Ball Z fight would look, since the two both can have the ability to fly, with them having shockwaves from Naruto using airbending and earthbending, while we can see the Tendo Pain using the almighty push, Naruto being able to cancel it out using airbending, as he physically pushes it back with a barrier of equal strength. Naruto would be using all of his avatar energy, as we can see him with his whiskers having now turned to that bright blue and his eyes having turned that color as well. What is this power? Nagato would be wondering. This is not the 9 tails. If he activates the 9 tails power, I don't know if even I can win. Naruto, who would already be in Sage Mode, would be already a big threat, just because he's already mastered Sage Mode to the point to where he can use it for longer periods of time, especially since he had mastered it during the 3 years where he and Jiraiya had been training together, along with him having mastered the water healing bending and other different bending styles from different bending masters. Naruto would have continued training, and this is how he is basically able to curb stomp the 6 Paths of Pain. Naruto in this version would have been extremely pissed after having heard about Master Jiraiya's death. That same scene where he had broken down would have happened, but there would have been no Shikamaru moment where Shikamaru had lost his master, Asuma. Naruto had protected Asuma. He was alone. There was no one in the world like him who felt exactly how he did. No one could know what it was like to lose the person closest to you, in the blink of an eye, without even having the opportunity to try and save them. Naruto was, as I said, pissed. Naruto would grab the Tendo Paths Pain's face as he rips him all the way, spinning him around and throwing him down into the street below, crashing into the ground as a crater would form around him. Naruto would then create it, earthbending style, Fist of the Great Earth God. The same jutsu and bending style that Naruto had used in order to defeat the One Tails all those years ago, he would then use again as he creates the massive stone body of the giant Buddha. As Naruto would then use its massive fist, colliding into the ground over and over again, palm striking the pain, the Tendo pain would be ripped apart. Suddenly the healer pain would come by, as we have a few of the other paths now guarding the Tendo, as they would heal it. A healer, huh? Another benefit from Naruto having the avatar powers means that basically, the entire village doesn't get murked for a second time by pain. This not having happened means that Naruto's fight would be much more intricate, just because of all the buildings in the area and how he'd have to fight them. This also means that we don't get a Konohamaru moment, since they don't have to wait for Naruto to show up, which kind of sucks, but aside from that, it doesn't really change too much. Kakashi does not die in this version, which is pretty cool. So that doesn't happen, but he also doesn't have the opportunity to meet his dad. But other than that, Naruto would then get back into the fight. As Naruto, using just his bending styles, is able to take care of pretty much all of the passive pain. Using nature energy, and the one that can absorb chakra isn't really a threat to him, since bending isn't even chakra. So he would just slam him using fire bending and water bending until he'd eventually just break the doll. Naruto would eventually have figured out through the chakra rods, as well as using Sage Mode, that someone else was controlling these corpses. Someone else was behind the scenes, a puppet master. Naruto would quickly dispatch the other 6 paths of pain, focusing on the healer and using his Frog Kumite style, mixed with bending in order to use airbending strikes and attacks, slashing them all up in a matter of seconds. Naruto would then use airbending as he flies up into the air. Closing his eyes, he senses the surrounding area. Using his avatar connection to nature, he'd eventually find it, as he holds the chakra rod and pours chakra through it. Naruto in this version has pretty much never used the Nine Tails chakra, at all, comparatively to how he did in the original. He doesn't really rely on it as much since he relies on his bending and skill. And this will come into play later, but aside from that, Naruto then flies over to where Nagato and Konan are, and the same conversation would take place and ensue, where Nagato would ask Naruto how he's so sure about how he's able to protect this world. How? How can you be so confident? Naruto's answer would actually be a bit different this time. Naruto would say exactly what he had said in the original, however he'd also add a few things. Naruto would say that his job as the Avatar, he was the savior of this world, to keep everything in balance. True peace can be acquired if everyone has equivalent power. Naruto would say that you can't give up on humanity before you even give them a chance, as Naruto would now actually use Taunt no Jutsu and successfully convince Nagato. Because Naruto stopped Nagato for a majority of the kills and deaths, Nagato would not die using the Rinne Rebirth. And this means that Konan and Nagato survive. Naruto would invite the two to actually stay at the village, saying to leave the Akatsuki behind. And the two would then think about it before Konan and Nagato both agree they have a few things they need to do first. They might consider it and they might come back someday, but not yet. Konan and Nagato would take their leave, as they need to take Yahiko's body back to the Land of Rain to properly pay their respects before they can start this new life. Naruto would have been praised as the hero of the village, having defeated not 1, not 2, but 3 members of the Akatsuki, seemingly by himself. And this is not some small feat. This is a huge organization of S-tier ranked criminals. Naruto is now becoming a hero of the Hidden Leaf by his own right, and people are beginning to respect him more. People are starting to think of him as more than just a monster, more than just the kid that had that huge fox sealed inside of him. Now, I know that you guys don't like when I break into the story here, but I will do it again. And that is that you guys might be wondering, why is the pacing getting so fast for the Pain arc? And that is because I'm trying to finish up the story, and I'm not going to lie to you, the War arc is going to be incredibly different in this version. And I really want to get to that, but also the Pain arc would definitely have some more minimal changes, aside from Naruto just being able to beat everyone. Now that we're actually getting past the Pain arc, where Sage Mode was its top priority, Naruto had been relying on Sage Mode for a lot of the series up to this point. Now that we're actually past the Pain arc, villains and characters are going to be surpassing that. Meaning Naruto and the Nine Tails, their relationship is going to become much more important. Anyway, enough of me just talking. We can actually get back into the story now. Sorry about that. Hopefully it didn't bother you too much. But Anyway, let's just get back right where we left off. Naruto is now the hero of the Hidden Leaf, and with minimal damage to the city, everything could be repaired really with minimal worry. And everyone would be cheering Naruto on. Having minimized the damage, they knew what that attack could have done. And the way that he had positioned that attack, and they'd seen that wave of chakra about to flow out, he could have destroyed the entire village if Naruto hadn't been there. Sasuke would have been fighting some of the other paths of pain while they were now just terrorizing the village beforehand. But aside from that fact, Naruto was really the one to change the minds of Konan and Nagato. This was definitely a full victory for Naruto. Sasuke at this point is not jealous of Naruto anymore, and he's happy to see his friend accomplish something that he'd been hoping for years. Naruto would cry tears of joy as he had finally been accepted by the villagers and wasn't treated like a monster anymore. Naruto had pretty much reached that goal, and now every time he can take a step forward to protecting his family, to protecting the village, he could feel support from all sides of him. Meanwhile, elsewhere, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it, damn it! Stupid Nagato. What a failure of a chess piece. I should have been able to wipe them out easily. Something's not right here. Obito be thinking. It's too fast. It's too fast. I'm losing more pieces than I can play. If I'm not cautious about this, then I may have lost every aspect, every opportunity left in order to win. The infinite Tsukuyomi might never come to fruition. Damn it! Obito would slam his fist into the stone table, shattering it. Naruto Uzumaki, I want to kill you myself. You're such a pain in my side at this point, it's not even worth keeping you alive for the 9 tails. I'd rather wait another few years than have to deal with you. Damn. Obito, after his little temper tantrum, would begin to plan with Black Zetsu and Zetsu, as they decide they need to speed things up in order to actually be able to still win. With their Zetsu still not even being close to done, he didn't know if he could even start the 4th grade Shinobi War and make it a challenge yet. And Naruto had easily defeated Pain, which was one of the most powerful members of the Akatsuki in what seemed like a few minutes. Something that Jiraiya would have struggled with for a longer time than Naruto ever could have. Suddenly a new breakthrough would occur in the reconnaissance office, as they would have been able to finally get into Kisai's memories along with the other Akatsuki Hidan they had captured. Tsunade would be shocked at the information she had learned, as she began to call her own 5 Kage summit. The Raikage had actually been thinking the same thing, and had already sent messengers to the Leaf Village, who would be coming in a few days later, after Tsunade would have been sending out the crows in order to alert the other villages of her urgent meeting. Needless to say, both the Hokage and Raikage would be rather eager in order for this meeting to begin. And so, they would all begin to gather their forces on who would be going with them to the 5 Kage summit, and how it would be going on. Both Danzo and Tsunade are both alive and conscious in this version, meaning that Danzo's character and what his actions and what he had done still will not have come to light. Sasuke is still in that innocence where he doesn't realize what Danzo had actually done to Itachi, what he had forced his family to happen to them. At least, for now. Tsunade would be fine with going, and she would decide that she needs to bring a few guards with just for protection in case of anything like the Akatsuki attacking. Tsunade would actually consciously choose Naruto to come with, which would cause Danzo to get infuriated. You wish to bring the 9 tails out of the village? Are you insane? Senju? Am I insane? That 9 tails Jinchuriki that you're trying to hide in our village is the one that saved us from one of the strongest members of the Akatsuki, Danzo. Well, maybe if our Hokage was more competent, we wouldn't have to rely on our secret weapon in order to defeat our enemies for us. Well, I didn't see you out there fighting, Danzo. Where were you, cowering underground with the rest of the root, Anbu? How dare you, you foul wench, Danzo would say. Danzo and Tsunade would needlessly be going at each other's throats, and eventually Kakashi would even have to break up the fight. As Yamato and Kakashi would be stopping the fight on both ends, the two would be not fans of the other, as both Danzo and Tsunade would be pretty pissed off. Naruto would then actually come into the room, the tent I should say, as Tsunade would have been making temporary outposts and welcome reservations for the coming Cloud Envoy. Actually, I'd like to go with, Naruto would say. What you like doesn't matter, Danzo would say. Naruto would be silent, as he then says that it might be beneficial of him in order to learn about the other villages and see what their government leaders are like. Naruto as the Avatar would seek to do this naturally, since that's kind of his goal, is to seek peace between all 4 nations, or well, all the current 5 great nations I should say now, with Naruto doing his best. Naruto would ignore Danzo's proclamations and they just wouldn't bother him. Naruto would then continue his point. If I attend the 5 Kage summit along with Lord Fifth, I'll be able to defend from any attacks from the Akatsuki that could potentially occur, Naruto would say, trying to sound as intelligent and dependable as possible. I've already defeated several members of the Akatsuki already, so if one does show up, then it won't be too much of a threat, Naruto would say. Naruto's point did make sense, since Naruto was pretty much carrying the battles against the Akatsuki, and it made sense to have their strongest fighter go with to defend the Hokage, but Danzo still did not want the Nine Tails leaving the village, and so the conflict would continue for a few more minutes, before he eventually was overturned by both Tsunade and Naruto's pleas. Naruto would choose Sasuke as the other guard that'd be sent with, and so Naruto and Sasuke would both go with Lady Tsunade on their way to the 5 Kage summit as guards. Kakashi would be worried about Naruto and Sasuke, but as the two walk out of the gates, they would turn around one last time, giving Kakashi a thumbs up, telling him that they're gonna be okay. Kakashi would see images of them and their younger selves as they walk out of the village and then join the Hokage to defend her from anyone else that might attack at the 5 Kage summit. Speaking of which, elsewhere we actually have our attackers beginning to plan out what they're going to do. We have around a day and a half until we can actually make the strike, Obito would say. Obito would be speaking to Jugo and Karin, the 2 people who had escaped from the attack that the Leaf Village had sent after Itachi, Kisame, and to prevent their forces from combining. One difference this time is that Kabuto would actually be attending the meeting himself along with Jugo and Karin. After Suigetsu had been captured and Tsuchimaru had been killed, Kabuto was beginning the experiments on his own body to try and merge himself with Orochimaru's cells. Tsuchimaru had been the prototype, the test of that. But anyway, that's for the future. As for now, Jugo would agree, as he and Karin would decide to go to the 5 Kage summit in the Land of Iron, and disrupt the meeting long enough for Obito, or Madara, in order to get his message out to the Kage. The message of the start of the 4th Great Shinobi War. Anyway, it's getting pretty long. I still have another hour of script remaining for the rest of the war arc and all of that. But I'm deciding that I'm going to split this video up in half just because it's going to take way too long to render. I want to get this out to you guys as soon as possible. Anyway, part 2 for this finale of What If Naruto's the Avatar will be dropping tomorrow, or the day after that, depending on how long that takes. But anyway, this will be the finale of the story. This is the first half finale. Second half finale will be coming out tomorrow. And then we'll see the movie dropping soon, and then we'll be getting onto another series to finish up. Anyway, I'm probably going to live stream tonight or the day that I post this, depending on when I post it, just because I have free time now and I'm out of school, which means I now have more time for videos, YouTube, streaming, everything like that. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next one. Goodbye.